Welcome back to Transcriber from Reddit. Today I'm going to be doing a short reaction piece to something I heard on Sheila Ray Gregoire's podcast, the Bare Marriage Podcast, episode 223, where she and two other wonderful ladies go over the problems with lies women believe by Nancy DeMoss Wolgemuth. Now, in general, I had no qualms with the podcast. I just wanted to quick clip this and react to this piece because of my own reactions I've done to stuff like Secret Keeper. And this actually covered something I didn't know initially until I heard this list on the podcast about Secret Keeper and Dannah Gresh.
Like when Nancy wrote the first edition to the book, she had Dannah Gresh write the bits on sex, and Dannah added quite a bit to the new edition as well, because she's like, Dannah's my good friend, and I'm not married, so I don't feel qualified. And so Dannah actually wrote this bit. Dannah Gresh, I've talked about her a lot on the podcast. She's the author of And the Bride Wore White. She did the Secret Keeper Girl curriculum, which was the one that warned 8-year-old girls that their bellies had the power to cause adult men to get out of control, the sight of their bellies. Really, really problematic. And whenever I read stuff about sex that Dannah has written, I think it's very, very important to remember where Dannah was when she was writing this. Because Dannah spent 20 years telling girls to be more modest and telling women to have more, to be more interested in sex, et cetera, while her husband was watching porn. And that's come out now. They've written a new book, she and her husband, Bob, about how to get over porn use and how a wife can be instrumental in helping her husband get over porn use, which is problematic in and of itself.
Well, it didn't work for the first 20 years, did it?
Yeah, but this is what Bob wrote, okay? And he wrote this he said this that was published in a Brio magazine article with Focus on the Family. He said this: if a guy sees a girl walking around in tight clothes, a miniskirt, or short shorts, you might as well hang a noose around the neck of his spiritual life.
His spiritual life.
Yeah. So if a guy so much as sees a girl in tight clothes, his spiritual life is dead. Bob Gresh wrote that.
Well, that tells you something about his spiritual life.
And Dannah Gresh was writing all about modesty and sex at the same time as Bob is writing this. And we now know that he was really into porn, which was escalating worse and worse. And so you just have to ask how much a lot of that played a role in the parts about sex. And it makes me very uncomfortable when you learn this sort of stuff afterwards, right?
Yeah.
This whole book is...
Feel free to go back and listen through the whole podcast yourself. I will make note of this in the description below. The timestamp where this section begins is 1 hour, 4 minutes, and the 20-second mark. This is where I would respectfully disagree with Sheila. I don't hold any sort of kindness or compassion for Dannah Gresh in my heart and soul. And that is something that I take complete ownership over, and that is something that God and I will have to talk about. But I don't hold any kindness or compassion for Dannah Gresh just because she was in a relationship with her husband who had a huge porn usage. Why? Because she took and monetized that. She took that and decided that she was going to be the author about modesty and about purity, and she would market it to hundreds of thousands of vulnerable evangelical teen girls, and even teen girls who may or may not have had a huge evangelical influence in their lives. But, people are like, oh, we need to try to get saved, and while we're getting you saved, we might as well get you on the train of purity culture. She was okay with monetizing that, with writing books to sell, to make money, so that she could profit off of telling all of these vulnerable women why they need to cover up for men's mistakes. And she hasn't apologized for it, and her husband certainly doesn't sound like he's apologized for his porn usage, let alone the way that he's influenced her writings on purity. And without any kind of apology, without any kind of even the least bit of what would at least appear to the rest of us like introspection, maybe a little bit of guilt about what she did in the past. She doesn't seem to be guilty about it. She doesn't seem to regret anything about it. She's okay with rebranding Secret Keeper and keeping it, for the most part, hidden. She doesn't want it. She doesn't want her new stuff. She is okay with still receiving money for rebranded now True Girl, then Secret Keeper Girl, materials, books, tours, all of that. She is okay with continuing to receive money and to continue to teach a very harmful message of purity culture. And I will forever dislike her on a good day and hate her on a bad day for what she did and her role in this. And until she apologizes and until her husband apologizes, there should not be any kind of compassion held out to them, because they're okay with continuing to spread harmful messages and profiting off of them without taking into account all of the people and the lives that they have damaged leading up to this. Anyway, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Please feel free to comment down below, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.